Williams,
Here.
Commissioner Diaz,
Here.
Commissioner Lyons,
Here.
and Commissioner Roach is present. We have a quorum. First order of business will be the acceptance of the minutes of the regular board meeting, which was held on September 17th. Does anybody have any questions, comments, corrections, omissions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner Lyons. Is there a second?
Second.
One of you guys. Okay, Commissioner Williams, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are accepted. We'll start with reports. And starting off, we have Chief Porter. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. How are you?
Doing great, thanks.
Good. I'll start with our crime stats. And these stats are not this week. I'll get those tomorrow. These are from last week, ended Monday. And so for the year to date, we are roughly 0.05% increase, a little bit slightly ahead of last year's pace overall, Part 1 crimes, but not very much. I expect, and we have a push in place to try and push that down before the end of the year. So we are slightly ahead at 0.05%. In terms of our shooting incidents, we are down. Our shooting incidents are down nearly 40%. The non-fatal shooting victims are down nearly 42%, and our fatal shooting victims are down nearly 31% for the year. We do have the last couple of weeks, we've seen a slight increase in our motor vehicle thefts. Although this past week, it was basically even from last year. And we are slightly up for the year in motor vehicle thefts. So that is one of our focuses is motor vehicle thefts in our Operation Wingspan, which we work with other cities. So they are trying to focus on reducing those motor vehicle thefts. We did do a PSA regarding what we think are some of the causes, and one of the big causes is owner, I would say, complacency with keys and fobs being left in vehicles and vehicles being left on a lot. So there's a big push to encourage people, especially now that it's starting to get cold, with running the cars with no one in them. Even if you lock the door, it's still not a good practice to run the car with no one in it, unless you have one of those automatic starters. And even those, you have to be careful. So we would suggest, and we're going to do PSAs, that if you want to warm your car, unfortunately, if it's outside, you might want to sit in it while it's running to let it warm up. So that's our kind of a snapshot of our crime stats. Homicides, we are down 47% from this time last year. So we continue to do well in that area. But overall, there is some room for improvement, and we'll continue to work to improve in our crime stats. But I'll have the this week's tomorrow for our staff meeting, and I can update those as they come to me. Sergeant's promotions, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, we did kind of have a informal sergeant's promotions last week. We're going to do a more formal one. The reason why we did that is because we needed to get it done. And so we're going to do a formal one where everyone will get an invitation, and all of the new sergeants will get an opportunity to invite, even though we had a good amount of family members there, family members in the community will also get to see them get their badges pinned on. So we needed to get it done because we've been short sergeants for quite a while. So, we wanted to fill some of those gaps as soon as we could. And the clock starts to tick on some of those sergeants in terms of, it's important that they get it going. And the union had come to me and said, hey, we need to get them promoted because the list had been certified. So we promoted 9 sergeants. All of them are in patrol right now. We're going to kind of let them make their mark initially in patrol. And then as as opportunities arise, they'll be able to bid for other opportunities. But right now, they're all in patrol. They're going to be on a 6-month probation. As I may have mentioned to you before, what we did unique for these sergeants is we gave them first line supervisor training before they got promoted. So once the list came out, they all attended a week-long first line supervisors training. They're also all attending, it's a 10-week program where they go once a week. It's a state's attorney's legal update training where they're all getting extra training as well. So this is kind of unique. What we've done in the past, if we've trained them at all, to some degree, was they received that first line supervisors training before they were actually promoted. We sent the first 15 on the list to that first line supervisors training. And so I'm pleased that we were able to get that done. Also, not sure, this probably occurred before the last meeting, but Assistant Chief John Cudo has started. He's been in place for about 2 weeks now, 2 or 3 weeks. That's going well. We're still working out some of the things that he's going to do, but right now it appears that his primary responsibility is going to be in support services, where he's going to oversee a lot of our support services operations. And so I think he's going to do really well, and it's going to be a real great addition to the department. And obviously he'll do much more than that, but that'll be his primary responsibilities. And so I'm really excited to have him on board. When we do the sergeants, more formal swearing in, then we'll do something for him as well. But any of you are welcome to come and meet him as you want. We'll make him available if any of you want to come in and meet him in person. If you don't already know him, I mean, he's not new to Bridgeport. He's did 28 years, and then he left, and now he's back. So I'm really excited about that. A couple other things I want to highlight, and I want to thank Commissioner Cruz and I believe Commissioner Diaz, who attended the domestic violence symposium that we had at the University of Bridgeport. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. It was a good evening. It's in keeping with its domestic violence month, so that went really, really well. So I was really excited about that, and I thank you for coming. We also last week attended we were part of the domestic violence vigil at the amphitheater. I was one of the MCs. Another great event, well attended, and such a very important topic that we continue to bring awareness and education to the domestic violence issues that we have throughout our country, quite frankly. Obviously in Bridgeport, we've had this past couple of weeks and this year, we've had a couple of tragic domestic violence situations in Bridgeport. So I think it's really important that we continue to educate, particularly young people. I was really excited that there was young people at our events on what domestic violence is and to be aware of it. So also, we have coming up at the end of the month, October 29th, and you guys are all welcome to attend our Police Accountability Symposium. That's also going to be at the University of Bridgeport. And it's going to be where we will have the Inspector General's office. They will be on hand to do a presentation about the Police Accountability Bill and what they do in certain situations where we have officer-involved incidents. So please, if you can, come out to that event. I really want to get as many people from the community to attend that as possible. In addition to the Inspector General's office, we're going to have some of our officers on hand to talk about the role they play in terms of police discipline and accountability. So the Office of Internal Affairs will be there. We're going to have members from Labor Relations there as well, and also some members from the University of Bridgeport's Criminal Justice Program. So please, if you can, come out to that event. It's going to be a really good evening, I believe. Also, we have I believe what I hope is the last draft of the Matrix personnel study. So we're in the process now of dissecting that. We had got it back in July, and we sent back a couple things that we wanted them to address, and now we've gotten that back. So we're dissecting that. I will say not many, but a good amount of the recommendations that they made were things that we have already done or things that we are planning to do. Many of the things in the study will be predicated on our manpower. So once we get to a certain number of officers, we'll be able to do that even more. So if what I'd like to do with our Board of Police Commissioners, as we will do with council members, if you would like to have a breakdown of that, the company that did it is going to be providing a breakdown to the city council members. So if any of you are interested in that, perhaps you could attend that. Or what I could do is we could sit down and I can go over some of the things with you guys, if that's what you would like. So looking forward to that, getting that going. Also, as you know, we're in dire need of a police headquarters. The current building was built in 1966. So we've been working with the mayor's office as well as the CAO's office, and so finally we are in a position to start to do some studies. So we are putting together a committee to do internally some of the things that we would want in a police department. So if you guys have some input, please share with us. This is historic. If we do get a police building, I know I won't be, but I doubt I won't benefit from it, but it'll be something historical that we'll have for the future of Bridgeport. So I think this is really important that we get this as right as best as possible, that we put a good new police headquarters in place that will benefit the communities for years to come. Lastly, I just want to touch on really quickly. So we had a situation 2 Fridays ago where our officers responded to a call of a person who was having some mental health issues. And unfortunately, that person attacked some of our officers, and one of our officers did sustain some injuries from being stabbed. I'm happy to report that she is doing better. She's out of the hospital. She was out of the hospital that next morning, and she's recovering. And we're providing her with, all the support that she needs, in addition to the officers who were involved in the incident as well. One of the officers did discharge his weapon, and we're providing him with support and services as well as the other 2 officers who were on site and also participated in dealing with that situation. That investigation is being headed by the Inspector General's office, so I really have no involvement or really no further insight into that. They will handle that. But I will report that we are providing our officers with all the necessary resources that we can to get them back to work and, back right as best as soon as they are ready to get back into regular activity. So we are in contact with them. I know Lieutenant Lyons and her peer support team are in regular contact with them. I had them in my office, or a couple of them in my office last week, to do like a checkup on them. And the 3 that came in seem to be doing well. And but it's something that we have to continue to monitor as we move forward. Lastly, I want to report that Lieutenant Lyons has undertaken a real evaluation of people who are out officers who are out extended sick. Not that we minimize their injuries, but we just want to make sure we stay on top of that to make sure that they are progressing to a point where we see the potential for them returning to full duty. Some of them have been out for quite a while, and again, not negating any of their illnesses or injuries, but it's important that we monitor the progression of them returning to full duty as soon as we can, to see whether or not they're going to get back into action or not. So that's something that she's undertaking at this point. But beyond that, I think I touched on quite a bit, and I know I talk fast, so if you need me to repeat anything or you have any questions, feel free to ask. Oh, also I want to mention, I'm sorry, we have these community engagement programs. So what we did was we identified libraries. So we have 4 libraries that we're starting with. We're going to do other libraries in the future, probably later this year or early next year. And so we had one at the Madison Avenue Library last week. Tomorrow's event will be at the Newfield Avenue Library on Newfield Avenue. Captain Grech will be there, and he'll be talking about some of the things he does, some of the technologies, and also take questions. So there's 2 more. There's going to be another one at the Downtown Library, and another one will be at the Huntington Turnpike library as well. And then in the future, we'll add other libraries. Like we were going to do East Main Street, but I know that library is being renovated. But once that's done, we'll do that one. In the other libraries, the one out in Black Rock as well. So again, if you have any questions, feel free. Whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Chief. I have a couple of, I'm sorry, Tom, you want to go ahead, please? Go right ahead.
Those community meetings at the library, I think, are good. I think they should be done more often. And I know I saw Captain Grech at the festival on Sunday, and he mentioned it to me. The one on Madison Avenue a week ago, I wasn't able to attend. I had a state marshal meeting that I had to attend because I'm on their board. But that was never advertised. My wife, who's the council person in the neighborhood, did call the city. They weren't notified either. So I think going forward, the more advertising, the more draw. That was, from what I'm told, very poorly attended because no one knew about it. So if your office can be a little bit more proactive and just getting the word out, we could have filled that room up because there's plenty of things, maybe not as serious in other districts, but there's Sacred Heart issues, there's parking issues, and other break-ins. We would appreciate, more advertisement in the future. And if you can get another one in the near future, we can definitely fill that room.
Yeah, we'll definitely look to do another one in the future. I think we sent out invites on September 24th. With the photos of the captains followed that, but we sent every district, what do we call them, council members, wherever we had them, we sent them invites on September 24th. And so what our PIO staff tells us, like if you advertise too early, it hurts. So we try to advertise at a time where we think will be as get as many people as possible. We did advertise at a couple on our social media sites. I believe it was on a couple of media sites as well. But we always look to get better and advertise better, and we would like to see more people out. So yeah, we'll definitely look forward to doing that.
Just have a couple of things. First of all, congratulations on the statistics. That's very, very encouraging. Mm-hmm. It's everything kind of across the board is 40% or more being down, which is great stuff. Also, congratulations on your appointment of John Kudo. I know he'll be a significant help to you, and I realize as much as anybody, how you've been overwhelmed, and the stuff just keeps on getting piled on, and John's John Kudo is a great administrator, and I remember him from for decades, for crying out loud. He's a guy who gets things done. So nice move there, Chief. And I wanted to also give a little shout out to your detective bureau. There's been a number of break-ins in downtown and in Black Rock. I think they were probably separate folks that were pulling them off, but your detective bureau has been on top of it, and I think they've made some progress. One of the businesses that were broken into is mine. So I had some direct contact with those guys, and they've been very good, and I just wanted you to know that it's appreciated. And one other thing I wanted to point out, Chief, just so you're aware of, the Bridgeport Housing Authority, the executive director reached out to me, and they own I guess a good chunk of the parking lot that the Academy uses over in the East End. And they're going to be putting up 18 units of housing over there. That's very well needed. So we're going to try to work with them the best they can to kind of keep as much space as possible for the parking issues. I know you do have events down there also, and when those take place, parking's at a premium. But,
yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay. I don't know. I just want to make sure you had a heads up of that. I wasn't sure if you may have heard or not. So
yeah, we're aware of it.
Okay. And that's it for me. Is any of the commissioners have any questions or comments for the chief?
I see Commissioner Williams' hands up there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I never noticed that. I'm sorry, Commissioner. Please.
I'll raise my hand. Good evening. Thank you, Chief Porter, for your report. And again, I echo what Commissioner Roach has stated as well, on the job that you're doing. I just had two questions, and the first one was with that routine call. I know you guys have the social worker. Was the social worker with the officers at that time because it was a call for a disturbance, correct?
Yeah, so a guy was having a mental
Mm-hmm.
situation.
Mm-hmm.
We want to expand our social program, our social worker program, and that's what we look at. We have some grant funding, hopefully, where we'll be able to do that, but we did not have the social worker. Um,
Okay.
although some of the officers might have been CIT certified, but I will say, so we had been at that location before where this person has a history of some mental health issues. And
Mm-hmm.
I just, even with a social worker, I think that was a situation where it would have still gotten to a point where this person was going to become violent. You never can tell, but we do recognize that we want to grow our social worker program, Commissioner, and
Right. Oh,
most
and the
concerned.
only reason why, and that's the reason why I'm asking, because it did state, on the news that it was a frequent residence that, you all have gone there, and knowing the nature of that individual, even a social worker or even the ambulance or something, you know what I mean, that person could have, received additional services.
I agree with
You
you
know.
100%.
And I saw, how it was and how it um went down, the whole incident occurred. But I'm just thinking of, when it comes to mental health, a lot of things are out of the preview of an officer.
Mhm.
And if we can look at it in a non-lethal way,
Mhm.
I think that, may have been a different trajectory of that particular incident. That's the only reason why I asked. It may not have been a social worker, but it could have been someone else, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I don't disagree with that. I think that unfortunately, we can't tell how these go, but it is important to
Mm-mm.
uh,
Right. Right.
recognize.
We can't, yeah, that's one thing we can't determine another person's behavior. We
Yeah.
never know how that person's going to react. But if there are, someone that can de-escalate the situation, and maybe,
Hmm.
it may not have gone to that nature.
I agree.
But, I thank God that the officers are okay. And,
Hmm.
that's the blessing right there, that no one was, severely injured
Exactly.
during that
And,
time.
and if I could just add, like, if I don't like watching the video, but I think the officer they did spend some time trying to talk this person down, they had called for an ambulance to try and get them some services. So, but you're right. We can always get better, and we're gonna review that and always try to get better as we see. But
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, because right now, everyone's facing mental health issues.
Mhm. Mhm.
We're dealing with that everywhere across the board, so I'm just, looking at other avenues that, not only for that, but the protection of the officers as well.
Definitely, I appreciate that, Commissioner.
And the other one is just, when officers are out for a long period of time, the process, do they have to do anything like fit for duty or perform anything, if they're out for an extended period of time, or?
Yeah. So, there are some steps that we can do under certain circumstances to have them go for fit for duty evaluations or things like that.
Mhm.
And I think the expert on that is Lieutenant Lyons. So when she comes on, she could probably tap into that a little bit more than me. But it's not that we're meant to be punitive, but we just want to be fair to the officers. It's also be fair to the department and to the citizens that if you're able to get back to work, you need to get back to work. And some of these
Right.
individuals have been out for quite a while, and it may be because they have an injury or illness that requires that, and I understand that. But I just think that it's our job to make sure that we are working with people that are progressing to try to get back to full duty. So she
Mhm.
sent out those notices, and when she comes on later, she could probably touch on that a bit more. And it's just meant to try and get people back to work. I mean, that's the goal.
Mhm. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for the chief? Hearing none.
I
Thank
just
you, chief. Go right ahead.
I just wanted to add that so to date now we are at roughly 318 police officers, and that is including the 26 that are in the police academy. And internal affairs right now is processing backgrounds of candidates for a class this spring. So I think we're progressing in a way where we've come a long way in terms of increasing our numbers. Um, I am concerned about 2025 with some of the adjustments that are going to take place with the COLA and things like that. But we're hoping that we're able to retain a good number of officers, and we're continuing to recruit and put classes on so we can get to a sufficient level. So I'm very pleased, though, that right now, if you count the recruits that are in the academy, we're at close to 320. So we've come a long way in the last year and a half.
Pretty good.
Yep.
Okay, Chief. Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Chief.
All right. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you. Have a
You
good
too.
night.
Bye.
Listen.
Okay, we have no one from the union this evening. Internal Affairs is not here. Their quarterly isn't up, I think, for another month or two. One thing, Sergeant Jesse Pizarro will be retiring out of Internal Affairs November 1st. So we're going to need to address that. Internal Affairs, as we all know, is short-staffed to begin with, and they're having a tough time. They're getting it done, but keeping their head above water is kind of a day-to-day thing for them. So I just wanted to make sure that the board is aware of that. But hopefully we're going to need probably more than one appointment to Internal Affairs as soon as possible. Next is the clerk's report. Turn it over to Lieutenant Lyons.
Hello, Commissioners.
Lieutenant.
So we just have the 2 Barrows hearings that got pushed back from last month. One has 3 officers involved, and then one is a single officer that we just need to try to pick another date for. I believe it was asked for November because the union attorney has family issues going on. Just not the last week of November is what the labor attorney said. I'm gonna double check that one right now. So if anybody has any dates in mind.
When is our November meeting scheduled for?
The November meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, the 20th. I will not be here that week
Okay,
at all.
that's Thanksgiving week, right?
The
No.
next week is the 28th.
Oh, the following week is Thanksgiving week. Okay, I'm sorry.
Best holiday ever.
Yes. Folks, anything that doesn't work, we're looking, the first Tuesday of November is election day, so that would be out. And I'm trying to remember who has difficulty with Wednesdays. Okay, thank you, Terry. Maybe that following the second Tuesday in November.
That's not good for me.
That doesn't work. Okay. What about, well, going back, I know that the day after election day is a Wednesday, so Commissioner Williams, it's not good, but what about that Thursday?
Thursday's hard for me.
Thursday's rough. Okay. So maybe we're probably gonna have to schedule this, and we're gonna be short at least one commissioner, but I'd like to, I mean, Tuesdays are usually good. I know, Tom, you have something that particular Tuesday, but
The second one is no good for me.
yeah, second Tuesday. What about the second, and I'm sorry, Hector, Thursdays are rough for you, right?
Thursdays, yeah, I get
and-
up to 8.
and-
Well,
and-
Tuesdays and Wednesdays probably the easiest day of the week.
Okay. Commissioner Williams, is it every Wednesday is difficult? Okay. What about Mondays? I'm sorry, Commissioner Diaz just says Tuesdays and Wednesdays are the only good ones, so we have to do these in person. I can, we're gonna have to pick a day that someone won't be able to make it, then it looks like. unless, what's, the following Tuesday would be the regular board meeting. I'll, you know, I'll talk to Commissioner Lyons and then we'll try to work it out and get something on the books by the end of the week, if that's okay. Within the next
Okay.
couple of days, all right? And we're expecting to be able to knock both cases off in one night, right?
I know at least one case, for the other ones, I'm not sure they've even discussed yet.
Okay, all right. I think at least one of them will be able to settle ahead of time.
I believe so.
Okay,
If-
all right. Unless there's anything else, Lieutenant, we'll move on to new business. We have a request from Councilwoman Anita Martinez to address the board.
Good
Council-
evening.
Hey, Anita, how are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you.
Fine, thanks.
I'm doing a million things. I'm at the DTC fundraiser at the amphitheater. We have a zoning item on the agenda for us and I'm on with you all. So let me get to it. Commissioner Williams touched on a concern that I had, which was of Officer Seti and the brutal attack that she took from the individual who suffered what looked like to be mental health issues. And it was very concerning to me to watch that video, very touching, to look at the way that she was attacked by this individual. And I have to say that our police department has to do better in honoring our police that patrol day in and day out. A lot of good deed comes out of our police department. And I always send emails out applauding our police department, even to the officers that responded to the domestic violence phone call on Main and Capitol. That was very, very traumatic for those officers that reached that home to see those two children and the brutal attack that they received and how they have to continue to live through this as they perform their duties. And yes, they choose to come to Bridgeport and be policing, but as I'm going to speak on a council perspective of it. On a council perspective of it, I would love to honor all of our policing on a monthly basis. I have advocated for this since I've been on the council back in 2013 to honor our police, not once a year, but every time a good deed comes out of their hands. Secondly, throughout the East End, I'm seeing a lot of looks like purchased handicap signs that are just being placed on poles, on trees. They are not handicap signs that are being placed by the city of Bridgeport because our signs have the city of Bridgeport sticker on the back of them. So as I'm looking at a lot of these signs throughout the East End, it's really getting bad. So I'm not too sure as to how to enforce this because I have looked at a few of ordinances in the handicap and I don't see anything on there on how we can enforce this. So I figure I'll bring it to the attention of you all, being that you all vote on approval of handicaps, and how can we start eliminating these handicap signs that are purchased or ordered and being placed at different locations throughout the community. And lastly, I do see that a lot of trucks are being ticketed. I'm working on changing the ordinance. We met with Attorney Toms last week. Attorney Toms, Attorney Anastasi, Attorney Liskoff was there regarding the hours that are currently on the ordinance change for ticketing of vehicles, which is fine. We can change the hours. The problem that we're actually having is that there's no space to if we were to go into the towing process of towing these trucks, there's no space in the city of Bridgeport to place these 18-wheelers. We also thought of maybe adding to boot these trucks because it seems to me that the $150 ticket that they're being given is not sufficient enough. They just take the ticket off the windshield and it'll keep parking there. So I'm not too sure as to how we can all work collaboratively together to make these changes, but we need to try to make some changes with these 18-wheelers. I did send Lieutenant Lyons just a few photos of a few trucks in the residential area on the east end, just so she could see what I was referencing to. It just continues to get worse and worse and worse. So other than that, outside of my concerns towards our police department and our police, our men and women, not being shown appreciation wholeheartedly for their work. I think everything else we can work together to make changes with. And perhaps let's see how we can stop these handicap signs that are being placed without the permits, proper permits from you all and from the, I guess, the health department that signs off on them. But other than that, that's it. Thank you.
Hey, Anita, if you could give locations of those phony handicap signs, the ones that are obviously unauthorized. If you can get that to me, we can probably be able to deal with that a little bit. I could talk to Lines and Signs and have those removed.
Sure. I'll get that right over to Lieutenant Lyons.
That'd be great.
Okay. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you all. Have a good evening, and I'm off to zoning. Good night.
Go get them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the record, Commissioner Farrow is present. The next item is a request from Councilmember Denise Taylor-Moy to address the board. I don't see her here.
I don't believe she's on, but
Okay.
I know she was on the link, but I don't think she's on.
Okay, we can go back to her if she joins us later on in the meeting. We also have a request from Lieutenant Lyons to address the board regarding department policies. So back to you, Lieutenant.
Thank you, sir. So I only sent you parts of the policy because these are some pretty long policies. One of them is over 40 pages, and I didn't want to overwhelm you with what parts are changing. When OSHA and the PMA representative for OSHA came through our building, one of the concerns he had was that the chief has started allowing our staff to have beards. There's limits on how long and what type of beards, but that it causes an inability for the gas mask seal if the gas mask is necessary. So to obey by OSHA standards, the chief has changed the two policies I sent you, the uniform standards and dress code and the ESU policy, to now state that if you want to be a part of ESU, since they are the ones that are, that's our emergency services unit, since they are the ones that regularly and yearly train for the gas mask and they have all updated equipment, that they have to be clean shaven. But since this is not so much an update to the policy, I guess more so to a complete change to what has been allowed, I just wanted to put it in front of the commission to officially have it approved by you.
Quick question, roughly how many officers does this affect? How many would be part of this?
I want to say emergency services has about 30 to 40 officers altogether. I know it's not a favorite of theirs to change it, but it's important.
Does anybody have any questions on that? Any comments? So you'll need a motion to approve that policy.
Excuse me, Dan.
Yes,
Just a
go right ahead.
quick question. Is this uniform with other departments, or is there something, maybe the state police or anybody else that's following these guidelines?
So I'm not 100% on what the other departments have for their policies. I know some departments do allow the beards, but unfortunately, to avoid OSHA standards, it had to be implemented for us.
Okay.
I'm gonna play
Any
on the
other
word
questions,
game.
comments?
The clean shave. Does that mean they cannot have a beard, or does it have to be a neatly trimmed?
Clean shave is what I have now.
Well, that's why I
that's
said I'm gonna play on the words.
Yeah, it's not clean shaven, it's clean shaven.
Clean shaven.
Yeah.
OSHA stated it can't be more than a day's growth unless, you know, some gentlemen grow really fast, but it can't be more than a day's growth in order to get the the proper seal.
Right, that's why I'm saying you have to be careful with that language, because I could shave yesterday and then the facial hair is coming back. So it not necessarily clean. That's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking. Because that's the same thing the Department of Correction ran into. So peach fuzz, you know what I mean?
Well, some people may need to shave twice a day, 3 times a day.
Well,
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it
could-
is what it is. By
we
3
could have
o'clock,
all
I'm
female
feeling it.
officers fill those roles.
Mhm. Well, some of them also need to shave.
No.
We'll supply them with a razor with their.
Well, the ladies on the call appear to be very clean shaven this evening, so hopefully it won't be an issue.
No issue.
Anything else, folks?
No.
No, I'm
Okay.
good.
I'll entertain a motion to approve, if that's in order.
Mhm.
I'll move.
So do we combine and approve?
Well, you have other policies, correct?
It's in
Those
two,
are
it's
just
the
ESU
two
manual and
together.
the policy.
Okay, no, you can finish up, Lieutenant, and we can go with Hector's suggestion.
Those are just the two policies. That's
Oh,
why I
that's
put
it.
them under one, because they were all about the same.
Gotcha.
situation.
So it's combined as it is. Okay. I believe
So
there
moved.
was been moved by Commissioner Diaz and seconded by Commissioner Williams. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Give us a wave there, Ed. Attaboy. It is unanimous. And we'll move on. There's 2 items under old business that were tabled, both for handicap parking sign requests. And my apologies, I did go through the minutes, but I didn't go back and research the original requests. So I'm a little bit at a loss as to exactly why we had an issue that required tabling.
116 Garden Drive, we were waiting. This actually has been tabled for a couple months now. We were waiting for a landlord letter. I've spoken with her multiple times. We just haven't received one yet. I think this, last month was the second month it was tabled.
And the other item, 77 Elmwood.
That was tabled because of the shape of the driveway, whether or not they can actually access it. And I know Commissioner Cruz wanted to drive by it. This is also the second month for that one. I'm just not sure if she was able to drive by it or if anyone was.
All right. We can further table item B to give Commissioner Cruz that opportunity. And hopefully November's meeting, we'll be able to put it to bed either way. Does anybody have a motion regarding the first one at 116 Garden Drive? And when was the last time? I know you said you reached out several times. When was the last time you had contact with her, Lieutenant, the applicant?
I contacted her the day after our last meeting. And I attempted to call her the other day when I was making the agenda, but I didn't get a hold of her that day.
Okay. All right. Folks, you want to give that applicant one more crack, or you want to approve the recommendation of the city traffic engineer? What's your pleasure?
We were waiting on a landlord's letter.
Mhm.
That's correct.
I mean, can we give her what's
Okay.
that? Another 30
All right.
days? I
Okay.
mean,
So would you care to make a motion to table? Actually, you can table both items.
yes, I will.
All right, there's a
I make a
mo-
motion to table both.
There's a motion on the floor to combine the 2 items and further table. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. Thanks for the help on that, Lieutenant.
Lieutenant Lyons, can you put like a deadline on there? Like this is absolutely, if we don't get it by.
Yeah, but inform her that the board is ready to deny unless we
Mhm.
get something, okay?
I'll let her know this is her last chance,
That's great.
Yes.
Thank you.
of course.
All right, we have nothing under letters of appreciation, and nothing under widow's pension. On to items under 8A, which is a request from the city traffic engineer to approve the following. There's multiple. If anybody has any issues with any of those items, please speak up, or if not, I will entertain a motion to combine the items under 8A and approve that request. Commissioner Diaz, you need a couple minutes?
No, I'm good.
Good, okay. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion to combine and approve.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to combine the items under 8A and approve. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Farrow. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, those items are approved. Now on to the items under 8B, which is the city traffic engineer's request not to approve. We'll start with their 4 handicap sign requests. The first one for Brothel Street was made by somebody that has a driveway and access to the driveway, but is looking to for a handicap sign in front of his house. I guess the applicant is claiming that there's an uphill walk from the driveway to the door. I took a look at it on Google Maps. It doesn't seem to be that much of an issue, but also I noted that the street does get crowded. There's quite a few cars parked on it, but because there's access to a driveway, of course, the city traffic engineer recommends not to approve. On the second request, which is 83 William Street, the city traffic engineer noted that there is only 18 feet of space, which technically isn't enough for a parking space, let alone to put a handicap sign there. On the third one, 74 Commercial Street.
You get your clothes from downstairs. You was downstairs, right?
Yes.
Why didn't you bring your clothes?
I don't know. On the third one, there the city traffic engineer is claiming that it's not a spot for a parking space to begin with because it's within 25 feet of the stop sign. So they wouldn't be able to install a handicap sign there. And also understand there's access to off-street parking. On the last one on Park Avenue, there is a driveway on the side of the house that holds 2 cars. It's a single family that the gentleman lives at. And for those reasons, the recommendation is not to approve the, and I believe he's looking to have it placed on Park Avenue. But do we have any questions on any of those items? Any issues? Okay. If there's none, I would entertain a motion to combine the items under 8B and approve the request of the city traffic engineer, which is not to approve those requests.
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner Lyons. Is there a second?
Second.
It's seconded by Commissioner Farrow. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. Those items under 8B are denied. Folks, do we have Anything else? Lieutenant Lyons, are we good with everything? Dolores, did we forget anything? Dolores?
I'm sorry, I'm here. No, we have not forgotten anything.
Just keeping you on your toes there, Dolores.
I'm
Okay.
here.
All right. You're doing a
Hey,
great
Gina.
job, Dolores. Thanks
Thank
for your,
you.
thanks for everything you're doing. It's
No
great.
problem.
Yep. You've been a big help. Okay, if there's anything else, unless there's anything else, rather, entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn made by Commissioner Lyons, seconded by Commissioner
Farrow.
Williams and Commissioner Farrow and Commissioner Diaz, seconded by many. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. Thank you, folks. We're adjourned.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Dolores.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.